Hello everyone, welcome to the chapter 2 of trade contract. Last time we discussed the nature of international trading. We understood the different activities involved in international trading. At this moment in time, what we are going to learn is how we could have a safeguard, okay, in doing transaction or doing trading in other country. Let us understand the contract management. Our objectives are to understand the definition and the concept of trade contracts, to know its purpose and be familiarized with the buyer and seller perspective and how we could make the contract successful by managing it properly. We mentioned that contract of sale is a legal contract, a document that binds the buyer and seller in exchange of goods and services on agreed value. So we are pertaining here the B2B transaction or business to business transaction. And this document is being governed by statutory law. Okay, in US, they call it Civil Code of Uniform Commercial Code, and in Quebec, they call it Civil Code of Quebec, and for Muslim, they call it Islamic law or Sharia. Okay. The contract will fulfill the following requirements. Okay, the contract contains the offer, okay, the quantity or the amount of the product to be offered, the acceptance, it is the recognition of the buyer and seller with the terms and conditions written in the contract, the contractual capacity of the parties, their responsibility and task, some consideration on value, and a legal binding because the contract is being signed by a public attorney or a lawyer. In international trading, we call it international trade contract. It is a binding between parties from one country to another countries. It clearly stated the different duties and responsibilities in international trading process. Okay. Most businesses create contracts in writing to make the terms of agreement clear, often seeking legal counsel when drawing important contracts. Okay. The lawyer played an important role in making this contract legal because if in case that a buyer or a seller fail to fulfill the tasks that are written in the contract, the lawyer or the court of justice will have a basis, okay, to make the decisions of who do not follow or who did not follow the responsibilities or comply with the rules and regulation or terms and conditions. There are different types of international trade contract. The contract that are being used for selling from business to business is sales contract. There's also another contract for distribution, and we call it distribution contract. And then we have the international agency contract for those who are providing some services. And then a contract for sales representative and a contract for supply contract. Another type of international trade contract are being used also in manufacturing. Okay, that is manufacturing contract and international service contract, international strategic alliance contract if there will be some partnership merging with one company to another company. You also have joint contract and international franchise contract. The components or the key content of international contracts are the following. Number one is contract trade. Number two is identifying the parties. Next is authority to enter into contract. The applicable law, the applicable legal terms, that is the severability, dispute resolution if there will be some problem that may happen in the future, what are the possible solution, the Incoterms 2010 rule, and the description of the goods, the quality, the weights, if there will be some substitution, preparation, stopping, delivery, the pricing, the currency to be used, the warranty and the repair conditions, receipts of the goods by the buyer, the country of origin, the time and timing of payment, export packaging, notice to the buyer or seller, mode of transportation, and the transportation cost. So, uh, apparently, these are the obligations of both party, the buyer and the seller. Okay. In doing and writing a contract, implementation and management of contracts should be considered. Writing the contract is very easy because the contract format are all available everywhere, especially with the law firms. But the manner of taking good care of your relationship with your business partner or counterpart in other country must be given a lot of attention. That's why you could see in your screen there are 7 key judgments for commercial relationships. Okay, you have to consider the commercial strategy, commercial capability, market management and sourcing, contract approach, contract management, contract life cycle, and transition and termination. Okay? For commercial strategy, what kind of steps or best plan that you are going to use to effectively implement your contract, and that would help establish a good relationship with your buyer. Okay, so your goal must be clear. Okay, where are you going to apply this? Who is accountable, and which opportunities, what are your priorities and target? And number 3 is how are you going to win, like to initiating and driving buying decision. The part 1, what are the different tools you need to succeed, and what are the different system for hiring, incentivizing, training, and managing people that will implement the contract appropriately. The second one is the commercial capability. Okay, your capacity to build a good relationship. Okay, how good you are in doing partnership, your support system, your leadership, your advocacy, how are you implement policy and comply with the policy, how much you do research, continuous learning and training, and upgrading the technology, and extending your network, and outreaching, and making visible in helping the community. That is also a part of key judgment for commercial relationship. It's not only a matter of writing your contract. Of course, if you have a good credibility, at the end of the contract, your partner, your business partner will think about or consider also again, reconsider if they'll be doing another business partnership with your company. Okay? And then the market management and sourcing. So this one relates with how are you going to increase your online sales, uh, create affiliate, create relationship with business, with other business, advertise your product, how are you going to use internet to interact with the customer for advertisement as well, and how you use websites, okay, in giving feedback, and how your computer or how your website is going to be used to accommodate customer complaints and requests. It's like more on interaction with your customer. The fourth key judgment for commercial relationship is the contract approach. Okay, it pertains to what kind of design, structure, format of contract you are going to use. Sometimes the contract are already built in the system wherein you're just going to copy and you're going to encode the information, and it will be more easier. You're just going to customize some of the terms and conditions appropriate to the nature of business transaction. Contract management is a process of utilizing company resources like the manpower, the services, the facilities, the space, the proper pricing, okay, to effectively achieve the company goal. Okay, it covers like the how are you going to write the proper quotation, invoice, billing, inspection, amortizing, and then you use a different system or evaluation to analyze the profitability and the effectivity of the implementation of the contract, also including the customer satisfaction. It is also important to understand the contract life cycle, because in this cycle you will be able to know what kind of strategy you're going to implement in every stages or phases of the contract life cycle. Okay, you could see the contract request, reviewing and redlining, approval, execution, storage, records, search and retrieval of the document, audit and reporting, and renewal disposition. Okay, if both party understood the contract life cycle, they are going to monitor these phases from time to time. One of the crucial aspect or phase of contract management is the transition and termination. Of course, every business transaction, we want the business to be repeated, and of course we are not expecting that the contract will be canceled due to some disagreement. That's why it's very important that you take care of your relationship with your business partner, so that there will be a repeat business. Okay, and if the worst case scenario happen and there must be a termination of contract, you have to check the terms and condition, and it must be in the win-win position for both buyer and seller. Okay, because everything must be done in a diplomatic way, and your contract will serve as your guide on how are you going to face the consequences of canceling the contract. Every region, every nation has a particular rules and regulation on how you're going to implement and write a contract. Specifically in Rome, they have the Institute for the Unification of Private Law. So the principles establishes general rules applicable to commercial contracts to formulate uniform law instruments, principles, and rules to achieve those objectives. That's why in a different country, or in a particular country, they already have established the format of the commercial contract. So it's only up to the buyer and seller, or both parties, on how they're going to customize the contract according to its purpose. And the contract is generally composed of the offeror, who made the offer, and the offeree, who is going to buy or accept the offers. The purpose of contracts are clear. It must define both parties' responsibility, it frame the scope of transactions, and it is being used for legal purpose. Okay? Contract may also determine the specification or descriptions of imported and exported goods. It pertains also, or it also discuss the term of payments and delivery, and the other details of transaction. If there will be some changes in the document or in the contract, it must be decided by all of the parties. Okay? So if it is two or more parties to be included in the decision making, we call it mutual agreement. If there will be only one, okay, person who needs to decide, and that is unilateral. But for both parties, two parties, buyer and seller. Okay, we call it bilateral decision. Okay. Contract management has three phases. Pre-contract, that is before the writing of the contract. Contract, that is the execution of contract. And the post-award, and that is after the effectivity of the contract. To safeguard both party, there must be a contract compliance or governance. It is a contract compliance audit result in a typical recovery of 2 to 4% of sometimes as high as 20%. So it means that it's more on auditing and checking or evaluating the effectivity of the contract or business transaction. If the contract management had passed through this series of process of auditing, 2 to 4% is most likely to have a repeat business or sometimes as high as 20%. Okay? This collaborative governance framework has four components. Number one is to evaluate the exit management plan. Okay? This as a controlling mechanism to encourage the organizations to make ethical, proactive changes for the mutual benefit of all the parties. Okay? You have to evaluate how are you going to finish the contract. Okay, of course, you want to finish the contract with a good relationship with your business partner. And the second one is compliance to special concerns and regulations. Okay, it will be audited or evaluated how they complied and how they attend to the special concern or traditional components of contract. The third one is a relationship management structure. How the parties work together to make both day-to-day operational decisions as well as strategic decisions successful and harmoniously done. And the last one is the joint of performance and transformation management process. It is designed to track the overall performance of the partnership. In this topic, in this course, it is not only the content of the contract matters. It is not only the format and the design of contract matters, okay? But also the process of implementing them. And it also involves the different stakeholders of the business. Not only the buyer, not only the seller, but the whole operational team, the human resource, the logistic, the delivery department, the inventory department, the accounting department. Okay? And this is the holistic approach for contract management. Okay? We have to consider the every aspect, not only of writing the contract, but also on how you are going to implement the contract properly. Okay? And I think that's the end of our discussion. I hope that you clearly understand what contract is, the purpose of the contract, the content of the contract, and the activities, phases of the contract, and how we could effectively manage the process of implementing the contract comparing to the set goals of the company. If you have any further question, just send me a message and I will be much willing to answer all of your queries. Thank you very much and have a nice day, everyone.